to be sincere and you have to really like admit your wrongdoing and how you're going to be different. And I was not. I was just like, yeah, I may not be 100% correct, but I'm like 90% correct. It was very hard for me to say I'm sorry because for me it felt like I was showing that I was weak, like I said, vulnerable, and so that's something that I wish I would have been encouraged to do more often. That it's okay to admit when you're wrong, and it's not like a sign of weakness or whatever. Which is why we make it a point to admit to our kids when we're like when we miss the mark.
Yeah.
So we apologize, even though that was not how we grew up. But yeah.
This is the B-side, B-side, B-side of marriage. This is the B-side, B-side, B-side of marriage.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Bside of Marriage Podcast. I am your host, Rashonda, and this is my husband and co-host,
Jason.
And here we discuss everything related to marriage, the good, the bad, the A, and the B side. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening on any of the podcasting platforms, please be sure to like and review.
Also, please be sure to follow us on Instagram at Bside of Marriage and on Facebook at the Bside of Marriage.
Okay, that's about it. Now on to the show. So we're on to our first segment, which we call where we share an A or B side moment from our week, and we're gonna let Jay go first. He always goes first.
I always go first. So let's see. So I guess mine is an A side. I will go A side just because last week my youngest playing in a soccer game. I'm the coach. I don't know. We probably said this before.
Yes, you have.
So it was awesome to hear the night before my son saying that he's going to do better. Like he heard what I said at the game, like how he wasn't paying attention, how he wasn't giving his 100%. He wasn't, out there trying. And, I was cooking or something, making dinner, and he actually said that to Shonda while at the table. So it was good to hear that he actually heard what I said, and it wasn't like it was he said it in an upset, like a mad tone, like, Daddy don't make me play. Like, he was like, no, I have to do better this week, and I have to listen. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was mine.
Yes, well, he's also my A because our little guy has been working so hard. And this week he was awarded star student.
Yeah.
For his hard work. We have had an interesting go with him. Just because he was coming off of quarantine, so we pulled him out of a daycare.
Yeah.
So he was quarantined. So he was just used to being here with us, and then to transition into school, it was a very difficult transition. Also, to his personality is very
lone wolf.
Yeah, he's independent and he's just happy with it, right? So we've been having some growing pains there, but to see him now coming toward the end of the year and seeing how more confident he is, and how just like he doesn't hate school anymore. Like he wants to go. Looking forward to certain things at school, and so that's just so it really was great for him to get like the star of the week or star student, whatever the award is, but for him to be not acknowledged, but recognized as for his hard work. So.
All right. So, what's the next one we do?
All right, and on to the next segment, which is our P2P share, where we're sharing something that we're listening to, watching, or reading. Yeah, I think those are all the things.
Yeah. So, I'll be honest with you. I've haven't been listening to anything that really, I guess, jumps out. But I have been going through this devotional with, again, Tony Evans again. And it's called A Time to Get Serious. That's what it's called. So last week, I'm gonna say it, like a lot of stuff that the devotion was saying each day was really hit me. So I felt like I was getting stabbed, not only in a like stab, like, but it's like it was hitting certain nerves that really made me think like I need this. I need to start working on these things that I'm not doing. So it was So for me, like that book, like I said, I think I'm in week. It's pretty much just it's 52 weeks, the book. So you actually each day you have something that you're reading about, that you're talking with God about, and then for the weekend, then you have kind of like a reflection about the past week that you got to go through. So for me, it was just powerful, because it was just the little things that that I do understand concepts of of who God is and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's those little things that I am not doing. Like, so like I'm on not saying I'm on a spectrum, but like I'm doing things good, but then I'm still not meeting. It's not leveling out because I'm still missing stuff. So, but what about you?
So I'm currently a part of a 21-day prayer fasting group, I guess.
Okay.
Yes. It's called Live Unmuzzled. And so I'll put the link in the episode notes. But basically, it's just a group of women who are just digging deeper into the Word and just being intentional about growing our prayer life and our just relationship with God. And so we have, we're on day, I think 10 now, 10 or 11. Anyways, we're about maybe halfway in, yeah. And so we've been waking up at 6 a.m. Central Time to pray and to just we have a daily focus, and from there you meditate on that focus throughout the day. And then when you're spending your personal time with God, you're reflecting on that. You're letting Him lead you to Scripture, and just you're being just intentional about that time with Him, making the time for God, and then spending it. I mean, just really not asking, but listening. And that has been hard for me. But because, when we pray, we often these are my needs, as though God doesn't know them.
Yeah.
And to be talking at God instead of just receiving from Him. So this has been a practice on that. Also, too, I would highly recommend it because I think one of my big takeaways so far has been that the Bible is a living word. It truly is living word. Every time you read something, even if you read it for 100 times or whatever, each time there's a fresh and new revelation. And that's what I've been finding, over the smallest things, are the most, not smallest, but the most repeatable portion scriptures. I'm like, wait, that's what he was saying. And it's just just new. It's just different. So that has been really refreshing, and yes, I highly recommend joining. Now we're going to talk about what we're talking about, which is what we're talking.
You gave them no.
I know. That's what I was like, 'cause I don't know.
You did not give them any insight. Okay.
Exactly. That was my handover to you.
Oh, gotcha.
For you to bring up what today's topic is going to be.
So our topic today is kind of it's not kind of, but we're going to be talking about the things we wish we knew before we got married. And I'm going to say it's kind of going to be a twofold, I guess. I'm looking at it as the things we wish we would have learned, and then the things that we did learn to help other couples. So that's why I was like,
okay.
That's why I was like, it's kind of
Okay, so it's a mix of what we
wish we know,
what we were told beforehand,
or what we were
that we could that we implemented.
Okay. Yeah.
Like things that went well.
Yes.
And then also lessons that we've learned that we would advise people to consider before getting married.
Say that first one again, because
The first one is like we were told this beforehand and we were actually able to implement it in our marriage. And it's like good stuff.
okay.
Like it worked out.
Okay.
Or is working out.
Okay.
And then the other one is like we did know about it. We wish we would have known. So now we're going to give y'all the heads up to try to avoid.
Okay. No, that works. That works too.
Okay.
That works too.
Okay.
So, I guess we're gonna kind of go back and forth.
Sure.
So I'm gonna have, and she probably have, and they may or may not be in the same area. Okay. I'm just.
go.
All right. So the first.
Overanalyzing.
I do that. So the first one, and I'm gonna kind of start off with, is effective apologies. That was something that, yeah, as a kid, your parents told you apologize, but it was never, I'm sorry. It was never like you were told like there has to be some meat behind being like apologizing to someone, and then on top of that, your spouse. So one of like a couple of things is like like expressing your regret behind it. So it's not just saying I'm sorry, but just like I said, it's having some meat behind it, accepting your responsibility, making restitution behind it, as well as expressing the desire to change. Not just say I'm sorry, but really making the point that, okay, I'll make sure that, yes, I did this before, but I'm going to make a change. I'm going to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Because again, like I said, growing up, it's like, yeah, you just say I'm sorry, and it's like it's expected. You're forgiven. All right, you keep going. But in your marriage, that can be a burden. Not say a burden, but more, it can be something that can negatively affect your marriage if you're not taking that time to express that sincere apology for whatever action that you may have done.
Okay.
So that's one. That's the one for me.
So mine is. I mean, I can piggyback off of that.
Okay.
For me, I think I would have liked to have been encouraged to apologize more, and that it's okay to say. It's okay to apologize.
Oh, okay.
What I've learned as a very independent woman moving into a marriage or getting married is that you have to shed a hard shell, and in doing so, you have to be vulnerable and admit when you're wrong. Okay. That hasn't always been easy because, like I said, I was very independent. I wasn't even thinking about marriage. Like, I wasn't thinking that I would ever get married. So then to become married and then have to admit that I was wrong for certain things, I'm like, not me. I'm perfect. Like, what are you talking? So I used to, very early on.
Go ahead.
You gonna chew ice?
No.
Very early on, I would give the sarcastic apologies. So it was like, I'm sorry, but I'm actually right kind of thing. And that goes to Jay's point, like, when you are apologizing, you have to be sincere and you have to really, like, admit your wrongdoing and how you're going to be different. And I was not. I was just like, yeah, I may not be 100% correct, but I'm like 90% correct. It was very hard for me to say I'm sorry because for me, it felt like I was showing that I was weak, like I said, vulnerable. And so that's something that I wish I would have been encouraged to do more often. That it's okay to admit when you're wrong, and it's not like a sign of weakness or whatever, which is why we make it a point to admit to our kids when we're like when we miss the mark.
Yeah.
So we apologize, even though that was not how we grew up. But yeah, so we apologize and that because we want to normalize that it's okay to admit when you're wrong, and you know, especially because like, yeah, marriage, you can do premarital counseling, you can get coaching, and you get you know, you can go to therapy, but it's still a lot of on the job learning because no one has this relationship. Like no one has the same relationship with their spouse. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
Okay. Yeah, and again, I like how she said the sarcastic part. You know, a sarcastic apology is like.
That's very sarcastic.
It don't like it. Again, I'm not saying. So it's like that's not. You want to apologize, but it's not. That's you saying sarcastic. It kind of negates it. Just like saying, you know, like you said, putting the word "but" before. If you say something and you put the word "but," anything else after that, it negates what you just said. So that's why I was just thinking. When you said that. So, so then I guess another thing that love is not a feeling, and again, growing up, we are. Like I say, I'll say me. I watch. You know, I'm a big movie buff, so I always watch movies, and all these movies, love was just love. It really didn't dive into what love really is, you know. And it's always just something, an emotion like, oh, I love this person, but it doesn't really go deeper than that. And then it's like first I'll explain what I learned, what love is actually. So like when I got married, it wasn't about me just telling my wife, I love you, I love you, I love you, and just keep saying it so she'll say, okay, he loves me. It was more about, you know, filling my wife so that basically showing her how by actions how I love her, so she can benefit from it. And it's not so much I guess, and I'll put it like this is probably a better analogy. You go to a bank, right? We all have bank accounts. If you're constantly taking money out the bank, you're gonna have a negative balance. But if you continue to pour into that, you're gonna benefit that. You're gonna benefit from it. That makes sense? Oh, okay. You making a face up? Wow.
Well, basically, you're just talking about love languages.
Yeah, that's
to love your spouse the way that they need to be loved. So that you're making those deposits instead of just constant withdrawals.
But a lot again, is that something you knew before we got married?
Yes. Before
we got married. See, I didn't.
I mean, this was like us when we were preparing to get married.
Yes. Like before we.
Like,
I'm saying like
I was like, you can't, because before we got married, we did premarital counseling, and we were already looped into a marriage ministry.
But what I'm saying is,
so it's like I don't think ours is the typical, because we wanted to get it right.
Yes.
So we invested.
Gotcha. No.
That's why I was like, yes, I'm saying about love
when I say prior, I mean before, like we was gonna get engaged, all that stuff prior to that. Like that's what I'm saying, because growing up, like, you know, I didn't learn love language, meaning that you know, I can't put apart on whatever I want on you. I have to learn what you want. Yes. So that I can meet your need. Like I didn't learn that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think for me, it wasn't that we need to learn. I think it was more of the impact that demonstrating our love really had on the relationship.
Okay.
Because it's like, yes, we were told to, you know, speak in each other's love languages, but not fully understanding that that's like kind of like a constant thing.
Yeah.
It's constant because you want to make those love deposits throughout the day, every day, as well as because it will have an impact on everything that's
Yeah.
associated with your household.
Correct.
Yeah, and that love language just change over time.
Yeah. It doesn't stay the same.
It doesn't say so.
Yeah.
So yeah. So, but no, I agree. I did not grow up like knowing that.
Yeah. And that's something like we're trying to teach our kids certain things with having love language. I know we talked about, we did an episode when we went to Legoland, and we talked about how we had, like, we was trying to speak our kids' love languages while we were there. So.
Well, that's when we found out that we have to
speak
that our children have their own love language.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did.
So what about you?
I guess what I wish I had been told about marriage was that the small things do matter. So I think that when you're considering marriage, you shouldn't sweat the small stuff. Like, oh, he doesn't, I don't know, like he doesn't like to wear fitted jeans, or like all the, the little.
Why you gotta put that one out there first? Like, that was the first.
For some reason,
I don't like wearing fitted jeans.
She came out. It was the first example. I don't know. So I mean, like all the small things in considering someone to be an adequate partner for the rest of your life. That I would say definitely don't sweat the small stuff. But once you're married, you need not necessarily sweat the small stuff, but be okay with addressing the small things. Because what would happen is if you keep brushing all the small things under a rug, it will blow up. It will cause one day for you to trip over it, and it cause a blow up in your relationship. And so then it's like, then your spouse is completely blindsided. Like, where did all this come from? Why do you have so much energy here? When it's just like, if y'all were talking about all the small stuff along the way, you would never have to deal with this mountain of an issue. So
I'm gonna ask. So, can you recall one small thing that you didn't sweat for me that I did?
Wait, say that again.
As an example, you said, don't sweat the small stuff and address it, but don't push it under the rug. Was there something that for me that you can remember that you had to address with me that was small, just so I understood, so you didn't keep pushing it under the rug?
So I think this is something that we still are working towards. So when I say small things, I'm just like. Jay has a very unique way of cleaning the kitchen. And then he has a unique way of, I shouldn't say unique way. He has a unique schedule of how he folds it and puts up his clothes. So
yeah.
I've learned to bring up those things without nagging, but also releasing some control because it is his stuff, but not letting it impact our relationship. Because initially I thought, oh, he does not care that this is bothering me.
I didn't.
Like, because the deal is, so with the dishes.
Just say it.
With the dishes. He's very good. Like, we worked it out to where, if whoever cooks, the other person cleans. We got that down. But when he washes dishes, he'll wash them, he'll dry them, and then he'll place them on the counter. Mm-hmm. And it's not all of the dishes. It's just random. So you might go in the kitchen, and there'll be a bowl. There'll be randomness, Tupperware. So I'm like, is it clean? Is it dirty? I don't know. It's on the table. Mm-hmm. It's on the counter. What's going on? I'm just like, now I have to put it up because you left it. Like, what's going on? So that could come across, well, initially I was like, this dude, first of all, I don't know if the first time I brought it up, if I did it in a nice manner or not, but whatever.
No.
That's neither here nor there. But I was taking it like, oh, he does not care about my time. He knows I'm already stretched. And now he's adding something else back on my plate. And I'm just like, No. And so this is how I gut check when the small stuff is getting, like, when I'm not addressing small stuff. If I go into a full conversation by myself, playing both parts, like I'm playing my part and Jay's, I'm like, okay, no, we need to talk about this. Because if I'm having a whole conversation, I've mapped out how the conversation will go with him prior to having it with him, then I know that it's something that's on my heart that we have to talk about.
Yeah.
Instead of playing into my head and going about it. So, but yeah. If I was told to bring up the smaller things sooner, I think we would have had less blow-ups beforehand.
No, that's true. Like that, yeah.
Also, too, we learned a way to bring those up by seeking the heart behind the action.
Correct.
And so that helps. That helps because it's like cause sometimes I really felt like it's like is this a test? Is he really testing me? Like what is going on? But then it's like no, what is really the heart behind the action? What is really his intent? And yeah, that's all that's it.
I guess the next one, I'm pretty sure that we're both going to be on this not say similar page, but dealing with finances. Yes. That was one I think we would have talked about. So one of the things that, again, growing up, I always held on to money because I know my mom didn't have a lot. So anytime I got money, if it was for school shopping, I always made sure I can stretch whatever amount of money I got because I know I didn't have a lot. So like I said, with school, I would probably get 2 pairs of jeans and I'll max out as many shirts as I can so I can just mix and match those jeans. I never bought expensive sneakers, just because, not say it was a waste for me, but it was if I only have $150, why am I spending $70 on some sneakers? So when we got married, that was something that, we talked about this once before. For me, before we got married, I never paid bills on time. I paid bills based on when I got paid and stuff like that. It wasn't like I knew my bill was paid on, it's due on the 8th, but if I got paid on the 15th, it gotta wait until I get paid on the 15th. So that's how I did it. And then with Shonda, it was totally different. So that was one thing, I learned the 80-10-10 principle, 10% tithing, savings, and then the 80% is to pay everything else, your bills and all that stuff. Okay. You forget when we went through the class, the 80-10-10?
Oh, well, I guess because our percentages have changed.
Yes. So
that's why I was like, that's been so long ago.
Oh, okay. That was the original. It was 80-10-10. So it was, it's 10%. So it was 80-10-10. Okay. So that principle, it helped me better understand where we need to be, how we need to be allocating our funds so we know where it's going. It's not just saying, okay, we pay the bills and then whatever else we have left, we just do whatever we want with it. So that was something that, I would everybody to really look at your finances or really look at that principle of doing 80-10-10. Just, it's going to change like ours have changed. Ours have changed.
I don't recognize those percentages. Well, 10%. Well, yeah. So 10% is always, God's off the top. That, yes, definitely agree with. I think for us, when it comes to money, I wish we were told so many different ways to set ourselves up for success.
Correct.
And one thing is that you guys have to go into your marriage, you have to go into your engagement on the same page in regards to your financial future, in regards to your financial goals within the next 5 to 10 years. Yep. I wish we would have been more proactive in that, that when we were met with some significant losses, family losses,
Yeah.
or loss of family members, that we would have then just applied any of those funds into our plan, like into our roadmap.
Yeah.
And that way it would have accelerated us versus, I guess, where we are now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're going to get there, but it would have accelerated us to achieving some of those goals.
Earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we probably wouldn't have done what we have done so far. Yeah. And meaning what I say is like, we would have, like, for instance, like purchasing a home. We wouldn't have went through going, like, purchasing home, like, just, we would have.
Maybe.
No, I'm saying if we would have had more of a better roadmap, you know, understanding, we would have tried to just keep, you know, getting something for now instead of planning for the future, like you said.
Yes. Well, but to be fair, for our home, I wouldn't say we were never on the same page. We had different goals in each house.
Yes. No, that's true.
And that's because we didn't have our 5-year, actually like 10-year.
We didn't have 10-year
plan then.
Mm-hmm.
Because, listen, this is a piece of advice. When it comes to home buying, you guys have to be on the same page on what that home means for you.
Yeah.
Meaning, is this going to be our forever home?
Mm-hmm.
That changes your requirements completely. Is this a starter home?
Yeah.
Or this is just a house we plan on being in for X amount of years.
Correct.
Is this an investment property? We're just going to stay in to rehab and then move on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to have those conversations prior to even looking, because it changes your criteria, it changes price points, it changes so much, because you have to consider, if this is supposed to be a home where you're going to have your kids, you got to look at the school district, you got to look at the environment, you got to look at the area surrounding it, because as things are being developed, how does that impact your home value? Like, there's a whole different list of criteria and requirements depending on the purpose of that home that I wish we would have had beforehand. Only because, like, none of our homes were bad.
No.
It's just that we were not on the same page as far as the length of time to stay or, you know, be in that home.
That's correct. That's correct.
So that's the kind of thing. And also, too, it was just really also learning on the fly, because we didn't have the financial education just individually.
Correct.
And so we were learning a lot of things on the fly, whatever. But one thing, I mean, we were on the same page as far as like our wedding. We were like, a wedding is just an event. We would rather invest in our marriage more so than a wedding. Yeah. So we didn't go into debt on for our wedding.
Yep, that's true.
And we paid for it.
We paid out of our pockets for that.
We paid for it.
Yep.
Out of our own pockets. So we did saving and all that stuff. We were not in a rush to start a family.
Correct.
Although you will get pressure to start a family.
Right away, right after you get married.
Don't worry about that. Y'all, as long as you guys are in agreement, the kids will come or not come, depending on what you guys decide. But we were not in a rush to start a family and to buy the first home, because we had a townhouse.
Correct.
So we were, I felt like we were kind of on the same page. Well, we were on the same page as far as that, but as far as like investing and like wealth, the wealth mindset wasn't there. Yeah. And that's what I wish we would have started earlier.
Yeah. And I wish we would have had learned some of these tips. And again, I say this not to kind of put anything against my parents, because my parents only did what they knew. So, I didn't want, but to understand the whole purpose of life insurance, estate planning, like even just building credit, because again, like I said, I know for me, I think I had my first credit card 17, I think it was.
I got mine in college.
I think I got mine, and literally
out in college.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't really understand. I was just like, honestly, I'll be honest. When I first got my first one, I got a free T-shirt. So I was like, oh, cool.
I got a T-shirt.
I was like, I get a T-shirt to sign up for a credit card. Cool. And so that for me was like, all right, cool. What I'm gonna do is, and mind you, I was really good. I was really good with my credit card. The thing about it was, as you know, I purchase. I don't buy a lot of small things. I always make big. It's always big purchases.
Because it's expensive hobby.
But a lot of that stuff went into my vehicle. So like I basically my credit card really was for my car. No, but I'm saying like I had a transmission issue I had to fix, so I used that because I had to spend like $1,000 for a new transmission. So like all that stuff, and I thought, oh yeah, you know what? I'll just put it on my card. I didn't have the knowledge of, okay, yeah, you don't have this money, but you're still just putting money on this card, and I never paid it. Because I was just like, I'll just pay the minimum here and there. So I didn't really understand the whole concept of credit at that time.
Oh, I know.
And then...
But that's why college students are easy targets, especially if you don't have that...
knowledge.
If you didn't grow up with the knowledge about that. That's fine. I financed a lot of outfits on my credit cards that I paid way more than they were actually worth, but it's fine. I mean, you live and you learn.
Yeah.
But yes, I would definitely say be on the same page with money, because even so, and we will never tell you exactly how to even set up your finances. Like, there's so many rules of thoughts on should you have a joint account, should you have each have your own like personal account, like all that stuff. Do you have all the money go into one? It's honestly what's best for you guys, but you have to talk it out. You got to think through all the scenarios. Correct. Because we found out there are some, and it also depends on what state you live in. But we found out when we were doing our estate plan. Yeah. About how just because you're married doesn't give the person access. Correct. To certain accounts. Correct. So if you're going to have I'm gonna say non-traditional, just because most people expect you get married, everything is like together. Mm-hmm. But you need to do your due diligence to make sure that in the event that anything happens, even as far as like healthcare, like paying, for your healthcare, if something were to happen to you, that your spouse can have access to that money, whatever. So you just got to do your due diligence. Yeah. But I am excited. Yes, we do a lot of life. There's a lot of teaching, but the one thing I feel like I'm the proudest of is setting up a trust and an estate plan, because I don't have to worry about the kids, because we already have. We have things in place. Covered. Yeah, we have them covered. Things in place that's going to take care of them. So. And for me, that is like, you don't realize it's a load until you actually do it. You're like, there's literally no worries. All we have to do is just make sure we're keeping it updated. Yeah. And that is something that, because one thing I do not want is for anything to happen to either of us and we have to set up a GoFundMe. Yes. To pay for our services. Yes, and that's part of like life insurance, like being able to, like, the one thing that I try to tell like my family members that are in their mid-20s and stuff like that to get their life insurance now. Even if they're not married, get it now, because the simple fact is you can get more coverage depending on who you go to. You get more coverage for a less of a price than if you turn 30, 35 and then you have some health concerns, then premium is going up, so you're paying more and more and more. So if you get, and I don't say if you get in early, you get in that low, premium for 20 years. Yeah. 20, 30 years. So if something happens to you, you're covered for anything that, would happen to you. So. And two, just because you might not have any physical kids or any liability or responsibilities as far as people, keep in mind though, if you have a brother or sister that you might have to take care of, or if you have an aging parent, if anything happens to you unexpectedly, then you need to make sure that they can have access to that money, especially if they're already depending on you for a certain amount of, so yes, we can go all into that because we have because if you are caring for a parent, then there's other things that you need to have in place or whatever. But also too, well, actually this does tie into the finance conversation. Now that you guys are married, all of the donations, all of the assistance that you give out of your household has to be agreed upon by both.
Yes.
Because even if it's my family,
I was about to say specify, because when we say donation just doesn't mean to like a charity. I'm talking about donation.
We have.
I'm just saying it's not just that.
We had a conversation about that too.
Yeah, donation.
That was my fault.
Yeah, but it's like donations are to. The way we look at donations is family. Like if you're lending money. School, like
that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Because I said everything needs to be agreed upon.
Yes.
But yes, Jay is right. I can't be supporting art. Not even supporting, but I can't be giving money away to my family. And then when he wants to give money away to his family, I have a problem with it. No, we have to come to an agreement on if we're even giving any assistance to anyone.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah.
And then if so, what does that look like? Set limits to the amounts, because it's like, hey, anything over whatever, we need to have a deep conversation. Or it can be 50 and under. Just send me a text. I just need to be aware of that versus we need to have a conversation. But anyways, all that needs to be agreed upon beforehand.
Yeah. See, I'm sorry, I laughed because when she said that, I was thinking about terms and agreements. Like, okay, we about to fill out. You're gonna sign something saying.
Well, and see, that's the thing for us.
If you don't pay me back, after a certain amount of time, interest gonna be at and that's what I'm thinking.
For our family and friends, we don't. Honestly, if we give anything, it's because we're literally giving it, not expecting it back.
Yeah.
Because of it's a whole thing. So, but that needs to be agreed upon between you two.
And that's not, I think that doesn't just go with donations. That also goes with whatever we're spending separate. Like, you need to have a discussion about, okay, what is that number that we have that we can't spend over without having the other person's confirmation, like, yes, we can.
If it's coming from a joint account.
Yes. That, like, you can't just say, okay, cool, I'm about to go get some Louboutins and I'm just gonna buy them. Boom. It's like, did we agree about this? Like, that's, if it's coming out the joint, like, you can't just expect that it's gonna be paid. Yeah. So those are the type of conversation that you need to have. Like I said, that's what we implemented that, and I think it's worked for us. So.
Yes.
Oh goodness, man.
It does. Most of the time, it does.
You gotta coax me into sometimes.
Yes, well, we're not talking about big purchases. Man.
Yeah.
It's like pulling teeth around here.
Yeah. So I guess, is there anything else you can think of that?
I probably can, but I think we spend enough time on money.
Okay. No, I'm not saying just money. I'm saying is there anything else you can think of that you might think you wish we would have learned?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I always have something. Mm-hmm. Because that's the thing. Like, you're constantly learning. Yeah. Like, it doesn't. Once you get married, it doesn't stop. And then, honestly, I guess might not sound good, but it is what it is. We're here now. I would have appreciated knowing how much I would have to change.
Okay.
In a marriage. Meaning,
it's negative.
Easy.
It's not negative, but
well, I'm just saying it's easy when I'm like, we're getting married. 2 becomes 1. That is painful. Mm-hmm. Because taking 2 completely different people and then trying to get on one accord about pretty much everything,
Doesn't
that's
happen.
not an easy transition, especially if you're an independent person.
Yeah.
With a very independent mindset.
Yeah.
So I would appreciate like how much of a journey I wish people would have gone. This is going to be a marathon. Don't come in with a sprint mindset. You will burn out. You either gonna burn out or you're gonna completely lose yourself if you go too fast.
That's good.
Meaning burnout is oh, we're gonna get this right, we're gonna get this right, we're gonna get this right, we're gonna get it right now. Losing yourself is I'm going to minimize myself in order for this marriage to appear to be successful. Because that's all it is. When you are not showing up as your complete and full self, you are not, it is literally, you're bringing half of yourself to a relationship. So that relationship is not even stable. It's not even solid.
That's good.
So yes, I wish someone would have really drove that point home, because it can be isolating if you let it. And so that's why I feel like we have been really like extremely blessed that we have mentors and friends who we can lean on and really like talk through some of these awkward and difficult conversations as you're transitioning from being a individual to a married person, to a spouse,
Collective.
a married person, a spouse, and still wanting to show up as your full self. And then when you try to throw in kids, the one piece of advice I cannot drive home enough: kids do not make your relationship better. Or I'm sorry, kids do not solve your problems in your relationship. They will intensify. They will be a magnifying glass to any issues you guys have. Do not go into having kids thinking that is going to solve your problems. You are setting yourself up for a hard time. Because kids, babies, don't care nothing about but themselves. Only themselves.
Yeah.
They cry, they poop, they pee, they eat. That's all they do. And then you're so desperate for anything, they'll give it a little good, and you're like, oh, my baby talking. That baby ain't talking. That baby got gas. But anyways, I mean, babies come in, they shake it all up.
Yeah.
So don't have kids. Do not have kids before you're ready.
I was gonna say, don't tell people don't have kids.
Listen,
If that's
you
what
gotta
they
be careful
want.
who you marry. I messed around. Not only did I not think I was getting married, I messed around and married a family man, and now I got 3 kids. But
And you love them.
I do. But they come in, like I said, they come in, they're very selfish because, I mean, they're babies. They have to, they depend on you for everything.
Yeah.
And adding that into a relationship where you guys are not solid, because mind you, you'll never think that you're ready to have children. Just like you probably think like you're never fully ready to get married. But as long as you guys have a plan, like you guys are solid, you guys are willing to work together through the transition, work together through the learning curve. Like, as long as you guys are willing to work together, then go ahead and have kids. But don't have kids thinking that they're going to solve problems. They won't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of went on a tangent.
No,
That's how I be feeling.
What again? It's what you like. This is something that you wish you would have known beforehand.
And I thought we were doing good too. We waited because the whole thing, we got married and we were like, oh, we're just gonna wait to have kids, because we want to travel, we want to spend time, getting to know us, which is all great advice and good stuff. Like I said. Well, also too, I just was like, we gotta get off of this because I can talk. Because I think I might need to just do an episode on just how, on independent, like how to show up as a full wife when you're independent minded.
Let's do it.
Because man,
let's do it.
Because career path and
let's do it.
These kids, marriage, everything, hijacking dreams.
Because I you always say like, okay, you know, we said we was gonna wait. If you think about the time when, if you take the years when we got married from when our first was born, people are like, oh, that was 3 years. No, it really wasn't 3 years. It
wasn't long enough.
It wasn't 3 years because we like I said,
because you're pregnant for a whole year.
That's what I say. You're pregnant for a whole year, so
pregnant for a whole year. This whole 9 months, that is garbage. You are literally pregnant for 40 weeks, which is 10 months. That is almost a full year. Sorry.
It's all right, babe.
I just want people to say, 9 months. Ew. No, it is almost a year. Your body gets hijacked. And then you have to learn to do, like, you get a whole new body afterwards. You're like, wait, it don't do what it's supposed to do. That's a whole thing. Kids, man.
Oh, good.
Kids come here, shop.
I think we need to have that. You need to do that one because that's gonna be one for me. It's gonna be hilarious because it's gonna be hilarious because these little things will come out of it. Because again, all these things that I'm laughing about, I've heard her say. So,
yes.
So like that's for me. I'm laughing because she's telling y'all about it. So I'm laughing because I've heard all this before. I've heard it, and again, we had 3 kids, so that means she was pregnant for 120 months.
And them last 2, I just felt like I was just pregnant for 2 years.
You
2.5 years?
You were, because it was right back to back, pretty much.
Yeah. So. Anyways, let's skip off that one.
So, all right.
Back to marriage. Marriage.
So I guess marriage tip. So we usually end it with the advanced marriage tip.
What is it?
Honestly, I didn't have one because the whole conversation is about learning that we're having is about the things we wish we would have learned. Mm-hmm. So, like you kind of said, is like if you're engaged, you're engaged to be married, you need to take this time to really get on the same page of what you guys like, the goals, the plans that you guys have. Mm-hmm. You know, get on the same page with finances. You know, preparing for the future, and the future has all these kind of things that we said. If it's budgeting, if it's life insurance, if it's estate plan, all that's future stuff. So you want to make sure you're planning all that in advance. So I guess that's kind of what I was thinking. So. Okay,
so my tip is do premarital counseling. We offer premarital counseling. Save your marriage before it starts. Book a free consultation now. Link will be in the bio. But I'm serious. You do need to go through premarital counseling. We do offer it. But go through premarital counseling because you are entering into something that you have never experienced before. So you may think we need to talk about this. Oh, we need to be on the same page about that. But premarital counseling, you are getting advice and you'll talk about all these different components that actually impact your relationship. What will impact your marriage? Like family of origin. Did you know you need to talk about that? Money, we already talked about finances, but also your personality. Did you know that the way you are just made up, how does that mesh with your spouse? Yeah. Or your future spouse? Yeah. You gotta talk about that. Conflict resolution. Yeah. Has he had a traumatic childhood? Have you had a traumatic childhood? How does that impact your decisions? How does that impact your connection? Yeah. All these things are covered in premarital counseling. Mm-hmm. And they open your eyes, just like when you're about to go off to college or even start a new job. You always research where you're going. You ask people, hey, you went to this school. How did you like it? Or you work here.
Here's a better example. For the people who drive, would you if you had kids, just think about this. If you had kids, would you just give your kids keys and say, yeah, go to your friend's house, have fun?
Depending where you live.
No, but still, like, if your kid has never driven a car, you're going to give him the keys and say, go. I said, I wouldn't either. It's the same thing. Like, when you got your driver's license, you had to actually, you had to know if you was competent enough to be able to, one, understand the rules of the road, and then two, you had to go learn how to drive the vehicle. It's the same thing with, you when you're getting married. You see what it says, what the world says. You see maybe from your parents how marriage was, but now you're not marrying your parents. You're marrying someone else. So you have to get all the rules so you guys can actually learn how to drive this vehicle together. So I'm sorry, I sound a little passionate about that, but yeah.
Yes, he's very into his car metaphors, but
It's not so much cars. It's more of, like I said, we've had this conversation, but for marriages, we don't have the same thing for everything else. Like for you to get married, you can just go somewhere, sign a piece of paper, and y'all get married.
Get a license,
get married. But for you to drive a vehicle, you have to go through courses, 5-hour course. Then you have to go through the driving class before you can actually get your driver's license. Why can't we do the same thing with marriages? Because it's the same concept. Mm-hmm. You have to understand, not say the rules, but what marriage is. Yeah. And then you guys have to be able to figure out, okay, we learned this, and now this is how we're gonna drive. This is how we're gonna direct our marriage. This is how we're gonna move in our marriage. So, but yeah, I think I'm good. You good?
I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you once again for listening, watching. What is it? Oh, just, like, follow, and subscribe. We said this earlier, but say it again. Yeah. And like I said, if you guys have any specific topics you guys want us to talk about, just DM us either on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll,
or tag us.
Or tag us as well. And we'll definitely try to put that on the books. So until next week, peace.